Good morning and welcome to 90 Minutes with Mathematical, coming to you live from our studios, the studios of Eagle 7 Sports Radio, 103.7 FM, Wasimi near Abeokuta in Ogun State. It's a wonderful day today. We've been having a great celebration all over Ogun State this week. It's our 50th anniversary. And I'm using this opportunity to congratulate the governor of the state, the government, and the people of this great state for their contributions to making Ogun State what the state is today. Well, a couple of years ago, about 20 years ago, I met her. Both of us were in a committee working on the 2006 Gateway Games. That was our first encounter. And it was, the games were one of the best in history at that time, if you recall. That's why I'm decked out in my Ogun State yellow and green tracksuit. Because earlier, last year, I think, Ogun State celebrated another Gateway Games, and it was truly terrific, I must tell you. So, we're celebrations all over Ogun State. A couple of months ago, and we just saw billboards all over Abeokuta. She had been silent for a long time, politically silent for a long time. And then these billboards appeared everywhere, and everybody started asking questions. No voice. We didn't hear anything from her. And then last week, it was reported that she had registered for a political party, the ruling party, the Action Congress. And we knew that that small step was a giant stride, because immediately afterwards, there were ripples around the state. Everybody was asking what was agog, what was going on. So we needed to get in touch with her to find out exactly what is happening. Well, nobody can miss her. She is the former Commissioner for Health in the state, and after she became a distinguished senator of the Federal Republic, she is a scholar par excellence, she's a teacher, she's a cultural ambassador, and she's a sociocultural activist. And I'm talking about Senator Professor Iyabo Obasanjo. She's going to be my guest this morning from her base, and we're going to be hearing everything. So just get ready to ask her any questions you want to ask her. We'll have an opportunity for that towards the end. Let me give you the telephone numbers you can call so that you can ask him. 0700 2255 1037. 0812, that's the second one, 782 8497. I'll take that again a little bit slower so you can keep those numbers and call when I prompt. The first is 0700 2255 1037. The second is 0812 7828 497. So you'll be able to reach us during this show that people cannot wait for me to kick off. And we'll be going on a short break. So when we come back, you will now meet one-on-one with Professor Senator Iyabo Obasanjo. And this is an interview. All we should just do is come and ask her any questions, undiluted, unedited. So join us after the break. Once again, believe it, this is Eagle 7 Sports Radio, and we are reaching you live around the world, 3.7 FM. And I have the greatest pleasure to welcome my sister, the former commissioner, former distinguished senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a teacher, a professor, Iyabo Obasanjo. Good morning.
Good morning. When you were speaking earlier, it was breaking up, so I hope it doesn't break up. But I wasn't hearing everything. But good morning. Happy to be here.
Fantastic. You are looking like 20 years younger. Wow.
Oh,
What is the magic?
there's no magic. Oh, I promised you I'll wear a head tie. I decided that since I'm not in a place where I usually wear a tie, let me and it's very snowy here and cold. So I would not wear a tie naturally in this environment. And I
No, but you
felt
are looking good.
yes, I like being authentic. So I think my authentic self in the environment I am is what I wanted to be.
And I see you are wearing our dire, from Abeokuta.
Yes, this
You are
is
in
a shirt.
celebration mood. 50 years of Ogun
Yes,
State.
it's a shirt I bought at Kenta Market a few years ago. It's a tie and dye shirt.
Well, I know that you have been very silently active in Ogun State, particularly with your foundation. On the other hand, politically, you've been very quiet, and we have not heard from you in the media space at all these past couple of years. Where have you been, and what have you been up to?
Where I've been, I participated in politics last. The election, I guess that was the 2011 election, right? Yes, it was the 2011 election. So you know how politics is. It came out, you lost the election, and at that point, even before the election, I'd made up my mind to go and come back to the US and do some things that I had in the works. I'd received my PhD in 1995 and done a postdoc right after a 2-year postdoc, and then went into the pharmaceutical industry and then came back to Nigeria. So I felt that I had not used my PhD to do what was my original intent, which was to teach at a university. That was the original intent of getting the PhD. 3 4 years, I had done a master's, done a PhD. So that was my plan. My plan was actually not to run in that last election, but you also. I know you tried politics a little, but the extent
Don't
in which I
remind
had
me.
gone
Don't remind me.
the extent in which I had gone with it. Once you have followers in politics, because what had happened was I called my followers and I told them that I wasn't going to go into the next. I wasn't going to participate in the next election. I decided to just move on. Like they begged, they cried, they said they just want me to run. So I just felt like I was in a bind. So when I lost, I was like, this is perfect. I didn't want to run. I ran. I lost. Time to move on to what I really wanted to do. So, and I felt that if I kept any connection, what will happen is that instead of following through on what my own plan for myself was, I will keep going back and trying to and for me, it was a fulfillment I needed to do. That was the reason I got the PhD. I'd never really used it, so I needed to get to myself to a place where now I've taught now for close to 10 years. I feel that now I've done what I wanted to do with that. I've published papers, a lot of papers I'd published before too, but now I kind of feel I've done that. And so it's a personal. So what I've been doing is what is very personal to me to achieve what I feel that I want to achieve as a personal goal.
Some
And I
some
think I've
some months
achieved it.
ago, very good.
Yes.
Some months ago, we were driving into Abeokuta, and there we saw billboards of and
Yes.
I realized that something was happening, something was agog. I asked a few friends, of course, who are close to the family, and they said, Senator does not know anything about it. Did you know anything about the billboards that first came out some months ago? What was that all about?
So what had happened was, if you, I think. maybe up to 2 years. It will be less than 2 years now. A few people reached out to me. To be honest, people have been reaching out to me over time. Like if they get my contact, they will reach out. But I'm happy with what I'm doing. I don't, and I feel that, and the way I looked at it was that was a long time ago. People have moved on to other politicians. I've moved on with my life, they reached out to me and said, "Okay, we want you to come back in politics." I said, "I don't have any. It's like there's no need, right? I didn't see what in politics. I thought I'd achieved what I want to do. I'm doing what I want to do now, but." As part of that, they did ask me, they said the only thing they asked me was they wanted me to give them permission so that they could do what they thought they wanted to do in terms of what they thought was needful in the political space for me to be part of. So I gave them that permission. I said, look, as long as the only thing I ask is that you can do what you want, my permission, you can't use my name. And so when it came out, I didn't do it, but I had given them a kind of a general, you can do things that you want to do in the political space. So I can't say that that they did wrong, or I didn't know anything about it. I had given them the permission to go ahead.
Okay, we are celebrating 50 years of Ogun State. Do you think that the state, with all your experiences in the past, even having worked in the government of the state, do you think that we are where we should be 50 years after? Because that's very important, even for your own psyche, as to what you are coming to do or not coming to do or whatever. Do you think we are where we should be?
I would say yes and no, because all of us as human beings could be in other places, right? I could have stayed in politics. I'm sure, have so many choices of what you could be doing with your time and life now. And when I compare Ogun State, if you recall, both of us are old enough to know when states were created. We were alive, and we were not. We were true. At least I was a child, but I knew when state creation happened. Ogun State was one of several states created, right, from scratch, right. So, and if we look at it and compare some of the other states that were created, I think we've done quite well. And that I think, and so there's always that maybe you shouldn't be comparing yourself to the blind man. You should be considering yourself to the person that has two eyes. But I think we've done well on that regard. I also think that if you look at Abeokuta as a state capital, it has come a long way. It has come a long way. So overall, could there have been things done differently? Yes. But I think that there's room for there's a template that is there, and there's room for it to be better, but it's not as bad as it could be. And then on the political line, what we've done in Ogun State is that we have, whether they intended to become overlords or not, each of our governors have left and moved on, right? What I mean is that we are able to create and everybody is different, so that what has happened is that each governor has added something quite different from what the other person had, so that we've had I would say, for example, the current governor, the industrialization that is going on, the number of factories that have started during his tenure in Ogun State is just amazing. So could it have been better? Of course, there are all kinds of things we can talk about that could have been done, but we've had a series of governors that overall have added on top of what each of them have done. And since 1999 to now, I think we've made some progress. We could have been better, but we've made some progress.
In the past 1 week, we've had this slight threat of a storm, political storm in Ogun State, because Iyabo Obasanjo was reported to have registered with the ruling political party, the Action Congress. And of course, with APC. And of course, we knew that in the previous dispensation, you were aligned with the PDP. So for you to have signed with the APC at this time was a huge statement. It was a huge statement that was not made. So why did you choose APC? And of course, there's anticipation in the air that she would not come back into politics except there was something she wants to achieve. It's not that you came to vote. You can vote without joining any political party. But for joining APC is a huge statement. Please just take us through that process. What happened?
So, like I told you, a group of people who I did not bring together, I did not form them into a group, have been working, I think, for 2 years now. And then they started talking to me about a year ago, saying, "Look, we think you are the best candidate. We want you back. And that mostly we appreciate what you did before." And for me, the reason I started to listen to their entries to me was because of these people did not ask anything of me. The first thing I told them when they was like, I'm not going to give you anything. I'm not either financial or otherwise to help this project. They were like, leave us alone. Okay. So when they started making the talking to me and all of this, I was like, okay, why are they doing this? And I realized that, like anybody anywhere in the world, we all want to live under better governance, or we want to be around a system that works or is working better, right? Because systems are always going to be working one way or the other. Is whether so I thought of it, and I felt that these people have goodwill and they're calling you because of what you've done already. I've already participated. I've already done. There's a lot of goodwill on the ground from me just being myself and doing what I feel that what you're in politics for is to improve people's lives. So they tugged at my heartstrings and said, "Look, people want you back because you were good," so that was the appeal. Once we started to talk and try to get to, okay, how is this going to look? Yes, I was in PDP. Once I left, I just left PDP. There were a few things. If I'm going to come back to the political space, there's a reason I left. If I come back to the political space and I come back to where I was before, I think that will be, what was the point of leaving? Right? That is my own thinking. The other thing is that, as you know, PDP is in all kinds of turmoil now, right? A lot of the people, not most, because that's relative. A lot of the people that were in the original PDP when I was there are now in a new party called ADC. Okay. ADC is new, it's growing, but I investigated. I don't think they have all their ducks in a row yet. They're still working on it. The other thing that struck me, this political game, I was part of it in a very, anything I do, I try and do it with all my heart. So I know all the actors. Why would I go back to a place where I know all the actors and I left? So what I told someone the other day was that APC is new to me. It is like, in when they in the US, where I am right now, they have second-hand goods, bus corner that we call them in Nigeria. but yeah, they will say a used clothes store. They will say it's new to you. Somebody might have you, but at least to you, it's new fashion. You will deck it in your own way. So for me, APC is new to me, and so they're new actors, they're new people. It's a new game, and to me, that's refreshing because I know everybody in the old PDP or ADC, and I don't like. Why would I go back to what I knew? The second part of it, which to me is actually probably more important, all the people that reached out to me when I left the country, then to come back into academia, all of them are now in APC. So it's like all the people that reached out to me and said, Iyabo, where are you? What are you doing? Are all in APC. So I think APC is my natural home. I don't have any animosity to any individual or any group within the APC. I feel comfortable with all the actors I know within APC. I feel more comfortable actually than some of the actors I know in that are in PDP, and some of them are now in ADC. So I think it's my natural home. I feel quite confident and happy to have made that decision. I absolute 100% feel it's my natural home.
We heard bulk of what you said, and it just left me thinking, even as I sit here listening to you, that you left as commissioner. No, you completed your assignment as commissioner in Ogun State, and you did a terrific job. People are still talking about it. You went to the Senate, and you did a terrific job, and you left it. And now that you're coming back into politics, I'm asking myself, and you hinted at something. You said best candidate. Is it that I know you won't go back to being commissioner? Why would you go? You were talking of not going back, and you won't go back to being a senator. Well, I don't know if you want to tell us. You want to let us into your thinking going forward now. Since you are not going to be commissioner, you may not be senator. Are you thinking an elective post? You mentioned best candidate. People came to you and spoke about you being best candidate. Is that an indication of where you are heading?
So I can tell you that when I was commissioner, it was in between being senator. So the two political posts I had was senator and commissioner, that were political appointments or political roles. I preferred being commissioner, not because I'm saying I want to be commissioner, but it gave me an opportunity to help my local people in ways that I probably will never have been able to touch people's lives. Yes, when I was in the Senate, I was able to help people also. But the help that you can give when you are local is so fundamental. And I think I appreciate and I'm lucky to have had the two positions, like being at the center and being in Abeokuta and being in the state capital. So for me, anything I do has to be local. I feel that my passion is for the local environment that I'm in. I feel that what we did in Abuja, I don't know how it is now, did not fundamentally change people's lives as much as what I was able to do on the local. A commissioner seems like a little thing, but I remember I saw people I knew people's problems in Abeokuta more than I needed to, but it was fun. It was our local people. I really enjoyed that position. So moving ahead, I'm not going to be commissioner. Like I said, I'm not even going back to the same party because I think that's old and I don't see the use of it. And I'm not going to go back to the Senate. Done that, been there, like the American we say. There's no need. And this is what I told my associates that what this all started. I said the only thing I'll come back to do is the governorship, and we have started that journey. We are going to see it through. And so that's the journey I'm on. It's very serious. I mean, we are dedicated to it. It is not, and I'm dedicated to it because it's not for any other reason than to make sure that this journey that Ogun State is on is going to be there's so many things we can add to what has already been done. I think about tourism, just the closeness to Lagos and that advantage. Yes, a lot of it has already been done, but like I said, every governor, every time I drive into Abeokuta, I remember that road from Shagamu Interchange to Abeokuta. When I became commissioner, it was not a dual lane; it was a one lane. It was a single lane road. And I remember how many accidents. I took people on that road to the hospital so many times. Like we'll see an accident, we'll actually stop doing it because one day there was an accident, you know how Nigeria is, which should not happen. Everybody was around the car and I told them, don't move the man, because you know the standard is you don't just move a person that is in the sitting position in an accident, because as you're trying to pull them out, that most of the time that's when you break their neck and they become paralyzed. So you have to figure out how to move the metal away from them before you pull them out. And they were like, no, that is what. So I just like, if this crowd is not going to listen to me for us to do the right thing, let's just leave them to kill the person if they want. But again, that's kind of because what can you do? You I'm trying to say don't and this wasn't the first time I picked up, but it was always easier if we got to the accident and there was not a crowd around, so we were able to actually there were several accidents that my car was the first one there, and we got people to either Shagamu or the closest hospital. So but why I'm talking about that road is that from a one lane road, it became two lanes. One governor did that. The other governor then made it really. So the other governor that dualized it, the road was not good after the dualization. Anybody would say, but it was dualized, so the bone was there. The next governor made it a nice highway, put more lights, did it, and now the governor is actually putting solar lights in it. They're digging holes for irrigation. They're putting gutters on the side. So is the progress. That's what I mean by everybody can add to something. So everybody comes in, does something, and that is what progress is, and that's what development is. And as long as we keep on that track, we will get to the promised land, whichever. And there's never a promised land because there's always more that other generations will keep adding to.
That is what in journalism we call a scoop. That we have now heard it from the horse's mouth. That you're coming to join AC is to attempt to become the next governor, the first female governor of Ogun State. I think we need to just take that in for a few seconds before we come back and continue with our conversation. We're going on this short break. When we come back, we'll be joining again with my beautiful sister, the distinguished senator. It sounds so I don't know, so deep. Olushola Iyabo Obasanjo. After the I had to catch my breath there. And that message was very deep and profound. This is Eagle 7 Sports Radio, 103.7 FM, coming to you from our studios in Wasimi near Abeokuta in Ogun State. And my guest is the distinguished senator and professor, Iyabo Obasanjo. And she has just given me some news that will go viral and global, immediately after this program is over. She is there to contest for the governorship of Ogun State in that crowded field. What would you do differently? In that crowded field, you are a woman. Even though we know that Ogun State has produced in its history some of the greatest leaders, political leaders, socio-cultural leaders in the history of this country. You can start to name them. They have done well. So it won't be a surprise for a woman to be governor. But what would you come to do differently in Ogun State?
I think it goes back to why people wanted me back. I was commissioner, but somehow maybe because I didn't know any better, to be honest, I was able to be a commissioner that touched people's lives in ways that it's still a lot of those people are still coming and that said, Iyabo did this for them, Iyabo did this for them, Iyabo did this for them. So for me, what will I do different? What I will do different is that I'm going to bring who I am and all those things that I can do that I don't think anybody else that is running has the capacity to do. Like I said, I know all the political players. Some of the political players I've known since I was a child. I know the capacity I have, and I have a more global worldview, and I don't think that is the essence of it, because I don't think you have to have a global worldview to succeed, but it helps you if you've seen a lot of other ways things are done, then it is, and you understand your own the situation, the local situation, you can bring new ideas into things in ways other people can't. And then the issue of being a woman, there's studies that show that women are better leaders. Of course, that is not a given because women are human beings as well. So they conform to the fault. But I think for me, it is just because of the person I am, the way I see the world. And so that unique experience, and I think that for Nigeria to have a woman governor, to break that glass ceiling, one has to come from a unique experience like mine. I think that once one person does it, it becomes easier, and so I think that that opportunity to break that glass ceiling for young girls, and I will tell a story about because at one point I did a lot of research on women's leadership and the effect on health outcomes in countries. And the story goes, it was a Norwegian that told the story that at one point, back to back, I think in the 80s and 90s, Norway had female prime ministers back to back, like 3 or 4. So there was a little boy, and so you know how people ask children, the boy was like 4 or 5, and they asked him 4, 5, 6, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he gave some ideas, and somebody then said, oh, don't you want to be prime minister? And the little boy said, only girls are prime minister. Because in his own life, in his own life, he watched TV and all he saw were women as prime ministers. What does that tell you? To check, image is everything. What children strive to become what they see. And so once one woman is a governor, it opens the dream for all kinds of little girls to see that as a dream that they can achieve. So I think that is important. But also that is also important that if you're the first to do something, you have to do it right so that you create a pathway and it's not an end. So for me, I think my professionalism, the fact that I've been there, I know everybody in the political game, so it's not new to me. I'm not just coming and say, oh, I want to do this. I've laid the groundwork. I know everybody on the national level too. And I think I bring in some capacity that I don't think any of the people have done things outside politics. For me, politics is not a I don't have to be in it to survive. Like I don't have to be in it. So for me, I think the idea that I left politics and came back to it, most people don't do that, and that I'm and once I do this, I'll leave it again. It's not something that I want to, and I don't think most people in it have that spirit. And so if you're doing something with the idea that you want to do it and be successful and leave, you bring a different mindset to doing things. Yes, all of us know um the location advantage of Ogun State. I think there's still a lot we can use that for, that I think we're still growing on that line. Like I said, tourism is a big thing. Health and education is always a big thing as far as I'm concerned. I think development to me is developing people. And I think that is the spirit. It's not the physical, it's not buildings. Most people think that development means when you go somewhere. Roads can be built and disappear. I've driven on roads in Ogun State that were built by Awolowo, and the roads now have only patches left. I'm even surprised they have patches because they're over 50 years. Some of them are 70-year-old roads. So if you don't develop people, anything you build physically can go away. We have to focus on human capacity and human development. This is what made Western region thrive, and that is what is going to bring us back to prominence of any kind. So again, just a lot to do in that human capacity. Health education, anybody that doesn't have a good education in the world today cannot. Why? For example, you and me, you left sports and you are still thriving, right? I left politics and I'm still thriving. I didn't even know I would do politics, so I would have had to strive. So your story goes, you didn't know you were going to do sports. So it is that ability that we want to give every Ogun State child, that ability to be able to do things and create new things and think of, okay, I don't have to always scramble and what is my capacity, what can I do, what am I good at, or what have I done? Because you should also, and how do I now leverage that? People that stay and don't succeed because they don't have that capacity. So human development is the first thing, because when human beings, then they create new things. You start a radio station, you start a business, you have an idea, you create new things. That then becomes an economy that is sustainable. The buildings are just part of that whole thing. So I think I bring a different way of looking at things, in which humans are the most important part of any development agenda.
Let me tell you, we're having a conversation. And some years ago, I had a friend who came to visit. And I told him something that I observed in Abeokuta. I don't know if it is the same in the rest of the state. I told him to go out and count the number of old people. And when I say old people, people who would be maybe above 60, that he could find anywhere in Abeokuta. Just drive anywhere in Abeokuta. And if you see somebody above the age of 60, please just note that down and start to count. And this guy spent 5 days with me in Abeokuta, and we were driving around. And at the end of the day, well, I'm not saying he didn't see one or two, but he said, Abeokuta, I'm just talking Abeokuta now, is not a city that has old people. Abeokuta, you go and check it out now. You find that everybody you find on the street is a young person. They are going to school, they are going to do something. It's just a unique demography. And it speaks about the people that whoever wants to govern Ogun State would now have to face. Young, energetic, vibrant people who are not even in politics. What do you think?
The problem, I think what you've just said is the problem of Nigeria, and I don't think we actually are dealing with the problem. Every problem we have has to do, when I was growing up and you were growing up, what was it that they said about Nigeria? And once I became an adult, I thought this was the most stupid thing anybody ever said. The most populous nation in Africa. Okay. Population means nothing. I've never heard of you, because that means you can produce children. That doesn't mean anything. It's not a sign of any success of any kind. And I don't know how we started calling ourselves that. And I think that has propelled this notion that just having children is a sign of success. And of course, that goes to the traditional, but every culture had that. Even in Western nations, when they were farmers, they had that. We have to now change that notion into how that human capacity grows into something useful. Every human being born, as you and I know, because we've had to pay for people, and we ourselves have had to go through it. Every human being born is not an asset. That human being becomes an asset when they're educated and they have something they can give back to society. If you keep having them and they cannot give back to society, you are creating a time bomb. And so we have to go back to the human capacity. But the idea of no old people, there are lots of old people. It's just that we don't have the culture of our old people coming out. Right? We don't, but my grandmother lived to be 97 in Abeokuta. And the day I have stories about the day I tried to take her out, my mother was like, "What are you doing? I took her out, and I was like, okay, that was not a good idea. But we do have some old elderly people. We don't have the traditional of our elderly going to the market and struggling with everybody else. So but we do have to do something about the youth. If we don't, it's going to come back and bite us in the next generation. I don't want the people that come to me for money now, that their children will be coming to my child for money in 20, 30 years. I want their children to be thriving, I want their children to meet my children at a party and for them to be colleagues. We need to build a society in which every child has the opportunity to do more with their lives. That comes with education, but also health. An unhealthy person cannot be productive. It just is. So that has to be the focus. But all those other things, all the industries that can make money for people, tourism, industry, just about it, that is also important. Those have to be there. Good roads, because you need to be able to get around, transportation, farming, just a tremendous amount of things that can be done. But the focus has to be on those. All the focus of all that has to be on creating.
And what of entertainment and sports? You mean my sports uniform?
No, it's part of it. It's part of it. It's part of it. It's part of it. Because do you know how much individuals how their lives can be improved from sports? Of course, you know, because this is what happened to you. Can you imagine? And I'll give you an example. After the FIFA World Cup was held in South Africa, when I was in the Senate, we went to a conference in what is the name of this? Is a remote province in South Africa. So it was the province that had this giraffe-like stadium, right? So it was in the rural area. Area. So we had this conference there. We couldn't even use the stadium. The stadium was supposed to be the site of the conference, but stadiums are not built for conference. So they had to put a tent outside the stadium. That was where the conference was. Then we just went to one of the rooms in the stadium to have, that was where we ate. And every day, we were there for only 4 or 5 days. Every day there were people living in a shanty town that we could see just from the stadium. There were children playing there. And I remember thinking, if all they did was get a coach, of an athletics coach that brought those children into the stadium every day, made them run, made them jump, made them do everything, that South Africa will create new athletes that will. And so they created this stadium, and after the World Cup, it just, they're now looking for events to hold in the stadium, like this conference I went for, when you could have planned what you'll use those stadium for, and there will be sports. So, and once you start children running and swimming and whatever, you don't know where talent lies. Most of us are not athletes because we don't know what we could have tried. Once you just, and again, an example is China. When China was going to host the Olympics, they just went everywhere. They sent coaches everywhere to go to every school, tell people to jump high. The highest jumper, bring them back to Beijing. They become, and those children, and once you do that, what happens? They've paved their own way. They will be going for athletic conferences and making money on their own. The government is not involved anymore. Just getting them out and exposing them is what is needed. And even that one, you need little, government just needs to create the environment for that to happen. And so sports alone, it's the tremendous economic benefit for the system and even for the individual will be fantastic.
Something that you are very passionate about, something that have sustained through the decades here in Ogun State, your foundation. Tell us about your foundation. Is it just for women and for girl children?
Foundation was the foundation was how can I call it? Almost like a side gig that became a so when I started to plan to run for the Senate, right? So I was living in Ogun State. How the Senate came back, and most people don't know this. I'd never lived in Abeokuta growing up. I grew up in Lagos. When I was in primary school, we used to come my dad's house at Iteko every long holiday, like any family. But and even then, Abeokuta wasn't as close as it is now. It was the old road. We'll take the old road and come, and it was as if we were going to another. If we were going out of town, because in those days, Lagos ended at Agege. So we'll come, we'll spend a long weekend. There was no, some relative. Sorry. Some relatives will come and see us, but it was like we were going out. We even take food. We'll carry food that we eat for the 3 or 4 days we're there, because So when I now was in Abeokuta and I was a commissioner, I got to know the people, and people were coming to my office every time I was helping. And part of it is that both my parents are from Abeokuta. So my mother is Bagura, my father is Owu. So I have a lot of extended relatives. My grandmother died in Abeokuta. My grandfather on my mother's side was long dead. But so this opportunity to mix with people and talk to people and just be part of this of that local system was very interesting to me. And I went to people's houses. I saw people. It was fun. For me, I loved it. Because I'm not, a lot of people think leadership is about showing off to others and saying that you're on top. For me, leadership is about being with the people and being part of the people and understanding the people. So it gave me it gave me a PhD in local issues that I could not have gotten any other way. So I was always helping people. People were coming to me all day long, and I tell people that when I was commissioner, I didn't start my commissioner work, which is really mostly file work, usually until 6 or 7, because people will think I've gone home. Then I will start doing my file work that was brain work, and then I'll leave from the office like 9 or 10, because all day people were coming or there's meeting or things. So after all that, and I decided to go into politics, I said, look, I'm already helping people. That was why I ran for election. I'm already helping people. I might as well create a vehicle and use it to actually formalize this system of helping people, everybody. So that was how Yaniwura came about. I loved it. I know people that, even from the election times, people that some of the resources they have used, Yaniwura started them up in something, and that is what they're still doing till today. So it was fun. It's to me, helping people reach there, and this is why I love teaching too, and I love my students, and I love seeing them grow. Helping people reach their potential is a joy to behold. Like seeing somebody that you helped to, you just created a spark in them. And I think one of the reasons I want to come back is that there's some people I came back to now that I'm around a little, and I see some of the people and they're back to what they were before. And I was like, what happened to you? They're like, nobody helped me after you left. Nobody taught me. Nobody told me how to stay in this thing that you taught me to do. And I think that's very sad, because there's human capacity. We as human beings, capacity is tremendous. And I never look down on anybody and think that person cannot reach a higher level. So there's always room to make somebody better.
I'm thinking, how, I live in Ogun State. I understand what's going on, but one thing I don't really understand fully, which maybe you can enlighten me about, is this issue of Ogun West, Ogun East, Ogun Central, and this must come from here. Those sensitivities about where people come from. How are you thinking of managing it, and what does it look like to you now, even within the present political climate, as to who comes from where in the governance of Ogun State?
But we human beings, we always, anywhere I am in the world, I'm a political animal by nature. So I follow the politics of wherever I am. Human beings like to be from somewhere. And in our own political system, because we're not a country of settlers like the US, right? We're not a country of settlers. In the UK, the parliamentary system also makes it a little bit more flexible where you run and where you come from, right? So in Nigeria, all the states, were based on some kind of geographical, you have to have some contiguous areas, right, to create a state.
Arrangement.
Sorry?
Go on.
Okay, so Ogun State was created from the old Western province, right? Lagos State, and I think some of our areas was actually, some of places, I don't know how it was, but Lagos expanded outside the Lagos Protectorate a little bit. And my dad is the person you can ask the details of this, because it was in government when all this cutting up of people were done. Just like the colonial people had to cut people into countries. So in Ogun State, how it ended up 50 years ago was that there were actually 3 groups, depending, and those 3 groups are based on is how we have our senatorial district, and every state has some combination of it of some kind. So we that were the people called Egbas. from time immemorial. We are in Central, and I think me and you are from the Central Senatorial District. Then the people we used to call Egbado, we are ancestrally similar but different. They are, if you go back into Yoruba history and the Yoruba wars and all that, then you have the Ijebus. The Ijebus have always been there as well. And so the three groups, we three groups have been the closest to Lagos, and a lot of our people are in Lagos. So we've had this drive, both a lot of Yewa people, a lot of Egba people, Madam Tinubu, for example, was the first Iyalode of Egba land. Tinubu Square in Lagos is named after her. She's actually from Egba, but she became such an important trader. That's why Tinubu Square, where Balogun Market and all the trading area used to be in Old Lagos. So she became a very big trader and businesswoman in Lagos. So but those three ethnicities exist, right? There's languages also that is part of this that have a slightly different Yoruba dialect. Of course, we all speak Yoruba. We're all of Yoruba identity. So it's there. Where we come from is important. It helps us be fair to everybody. I know what we're trying to get at is in that question is the question of which side has been governor, which side has not been governor. While all that is important, we also have to look at capacity. Look at the East, right? The East, since 1999, not even since 1999, let's go back to since Ogun State was created, and let's remove the military governors because they could come from anywhere, right? And let's look at the political. So we have Governor Onabanjo, Ijebu Ode. We have Chief Oshoba, Obafemi Owode, Egba. We then have Gbenga Daniel Shagamu, that is Remo. Remo is part of East because Remo used to be part of Ijebu division under the British, and then they removed Remo to have more direct administration. Then we have Amusu, who is Egba. Then now we have Abiodun, Governor Dakwa Abiodun, who is also now Remo again. So if we're trying to distribute everything around, you will not have had two Remo, which are relatively close. So yes, we can look at where people come from, but we also have to look at capacity. You can't say, oh, we want to be fair, and so we're going to bring people just because of that. People will take advantage of you and say, okay, if you want somebody from that's where you are going to get. No, I believe that fair is fair. I, for example, on the national stage, I believe that we should and have an Igbo president because fair is fair. I'm not saying we should have one immediately, but I am saying that in the lifetime of Nigeria, to say we should never have an Igbo president, it's unfair. And then say the same thing about Ogun State. I don't think any area should not have access to being governor, but at the same time, that cannot be at this. We can't say it is this time it must happen. When you have to look at the slate of candidates, if it's that, then Governor Abiodun should not have become the next governor after just one exact rotation because Remo have done it. So to me, yes, fairness is fairness. I was a big supporter of Governor Olunri when he ran. My father introduced him to me, said he was running. I campaigned with him, but I also saw his limitation. He was not a politician. He did not know the system of politics, and he was even very reluctant to do it. So we have to find. So I'm not opposed to every region getting it, but you cannot put a time limit and say this is when that person. Is this now? Everybody. We have to look at capacity.
Okay. Oh, wow. Wow. Well, from here, I lost some of what you said. I didn't hear some of what you
Sorry,
said.
I saw you went off a little bit. Yeah.
Yes. But I hope that the world heard you loud and clear. And we'll be going on another short break. This time, a musical break. I want to play one lovely song by, I think, Ebenezer Obey, if it is there.
Okay,
Let's
let me
just listen
see.
to Ebenezer. So that when we come back, we'll now open the lines for people to call in. We'll take 2 or 3 telephone calls only, and then we'll start rounding off our conversation this morning. This is Eagle 7 Sports Radio, and we're reaching you from that lovely, idyllic, serene village called Wasimi, near Ifo, near Ewekuru, near Abeokuta. You haven't come there yet, Senator. One of these days we are going to invite you
I
to
came to
come
see
to
my other
Wasimi.
brother. I was there. I came to see my brother, your co-founder
Okay.
of Eagles FM. I
Tony.
was in this, yes, I was in this village compound. And I was very jealous of the village life.
Okay, we go on this short break. When we come
yeah.
back, then people will be able to call in. Don't forget the numbers 0700 2255 Use that number and you'll be able to speak with the distinguished senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, my sister, Former. Well, once a senator, always a senator.
Always a senator, I guess, yes.
Yes. So join us after the break. Well, welcome back. Well, this is Eagle 7 Sports Radio, 90 minutes with mathematical. My guest is Senator Professor Iyabo Olushola.
Before we bring in the audience, or the callers, I wanted to say the what you and our brother built in Wasimi is very apt, because Wasimi is the place of rest. So you guys have created a place of peace and rest in Wasimi. So very okay is on my screen.
Thank you. Yeah, so anyway, I listened to that song, that's that song, Ebenezer Obey and all of that, and something, there's this flood of emotions just passing through me. And I recall what my father used to say in those days, that look, leadership in our area in Abeokuta is not about who is the richest or who is the most powerful or who is the most read or any of those things. It is about the person who is decent, of good conduct and character. You see, that's what defines us. Somebody who is honest, who is sincere, who will tell the truth always, and so on and so forth. You know, that defines who we are in that Abeokuta area. I find it fascinating, you know, because I grew up in the north, and now back, and I found out all of these things. Tell us about our Igba roots.
I grew up in Lagos, so I'm a Lagosian at heart. I mean, went to primary school, secondary school in Lagos, and then went to Ibadan for university. So for me, that's why I was saying coming back to Abeokuta and being commissioner was the first time I actually dealt with our local people and understood them. And for me, I didn't see it. I know for most people, like, oh, why are you doing? It was the most enlightening thing for me. I will not, you know, our people are such. I don't even know. Is everybody a good person? No, some will try and cheat you. But even if you look at their fundamentals as human beings, even look at, for me, this experience of coming back, right? The fact that people and every day I keep saying, we want you to come back because you did well by us. I'm not sure that it's every sector of our country that you will have people saying that. So they're saying, like, look, we this is not even about you. It's because we know you will do right by us. And to me, though, there is not every group of people that can do that. They're politicians with more money than I have, than I could ever give them. But that was not the essence. They saw into my soul and they saw that this is somebody that will do right by them. And these are people that some of the people I didn't even know I knew what I did for them, but I did not know it was that fundamental to them on that experience. So for me, our people are very special people in a lot of ways.
What's your relationship like with the leadership of your new party? Because you have just registered, and are you in close relationship with the leadership of the APC at
Some of
national,
the
state, and so on levels?
some of the like somebody was saying when I told them I would move to APC, she said, "Oh, all of you politicians, you're all this, you move back and forth anyway." What it means that most of the people in APC were in other parties. Some of them were in PDP, so I've known them on the national scale. I've dealt with everybody. I've had some interaction. Some of them, maybe we were in different parties, but we're in the National Assembly together. At the national level, I know everybody. In order to join the party, I consulted widely. I spoke to leaders from at least the three major parties now. I spoke to leaders that's still in PDP. I spoke to people in ADC. I spoke to people in APC. I did a wide consultation before I made my choice of APC. And like I said, I'm very at peace with that choice. So I don't know, like I said, a lot of people that some of the people that were in PDP then that reached out to me are now in APC. So again, that shows you that the connections are there.
Yes, the numbers again are 0700. You better just call now because I'm going to take only one or two calls. 0700 22 55 1037. The second number is 0812 7828 497. And believe it or not, this is Eagle 7 Sports Radio, and we are discussing politics. And I am discussing politics. We have a caller. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
How are you, sir? What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Mr. Adeyeye. I'm calling from Ejio, Mirekuru local government.
Fantastic. Please go ahead. Speak with our distinguished.
Thank you very much. Madam Iyabo. You are welcome to the APC.
Professor.
The initial person we are hoping to vote for in the 2027 election is Adeola Yayi. Are you now going to contest the primary against him or what? Thank you.
Definitely. That's a definite yes. There's no two ways about it. APC is an APC. So if he's going to contest the governorship, then I'm going to contest the governorship within APC with him. It's a definite yes. You ask I'm always a very clear person. Anybody that knows me, you can get a clear answer from me. Yes. Mr. Yinka Adeyeye from Ewekoro.
Okay, that's it. We take. Yes. We have a second caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Am I clear? Hello.
Yes, I can hear you faintly. Good morning.
Yes.
Tell us your name and where you're calling from. Yes.
Nicholas. I'm calling from Abeokuta.
Okay.
Good morning, Dr. Iyabo Obasanjo.
Yes, go ahead.
What's your name?
Can you hear me?
Tell me what?
Yeah, my name is Nicholas, calling from Abeokuta.
Nicholas what?
Okay, Nicholas Iwochukwu.
Nicholas Iwochukwu.
Okay, go ahead.
I would like to know, left for me, the next governor of Ogun State should be either a Yewa person or a woman. And your guest, Dr. Iyabo Obasanjo, fits into that
criteria because they are the two groups that have not produced the governor of Ogun State. But when you look at the history of cross-carpeting, what is your view, ma'am, with the way this cross-carpeting to the ruling party is affecting ideology, if there is anything like ideology anymore? Then secondly, at what stage did you take the decision to go into this race? Because I think some months ago you were at OOPL and you were interviewed and you dodged the question when you were asked about if you were interested. Can we know when you took that decision? Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay.
First, cross-carpeting and ideology. Like I said, my decision for APC was personal. I dealt with PDP and most of the actors in PDP now that are now in ADC. And I was actually, the day that I made my decision, the final day, like I said, people have been talking to me about this for 2 years. And I've basically, I don't even think I dodged the question for the question. I said, I don't think so, and I didn't think so. And anybody that has spoken to me, I've even had friends that called me and said, yeah, but you said you would never do this. Again, it was the people that, first, the personalities that spoke to me, their dedication and their reasoning. Their reasoning was, we want to be part of a system that is working better than things are working out, and we think you are the person that can do it. So yes, the farm decision, like I was still consulting with people in December to January, talking to people, like I said, again, gauging the thing. So I did not make a final decision until late last year, I would say. So again, that was my own thought process, and I'm basing it on the things I've done before, and I'm now coming back to build on those things. In terms of ideology and cross-carpeting, I've not been around, I've not participated, I've not been a member of PDP in, probably 15 years now. Since 2011, so 15 years. So I've not participated. I don't know what. Yeah, like I said, I knew all of the actors, and nationally, I know there's been a lot of movement of people into APC. That is not my concern. I am focused on Ogun State. I'm focused on what I think is good for Ogun State, and I believe that APC is. In terms of my relationships in with people, APC is where all my people are. All the people I've worked with that I'm comfortable dealing with. With ideology, our political parties in Nigeria, and every country is different right now, as you know. But in the UK, it's what the Labour Party means is very different from what even the Democratic Party means in the US. In Nigeria, our parties have not traditionally been, maybe in the 1960s, there was some ideology behind it. Right now, unless somebody explains it to me, I'm not sure what the ideological differences are, if there are any. For me, I just want to be where I am looking out for the ordinary man and for people, and I'm looking out for the progress of individual and of the system, and that we are focused on development. And I think that for me, the vehicle I'm happy to work with to achieve that is APC. I hope that answers your question.
Oh, of course. And anyway, he said also, which you don't have to respond to, he said his preference would be for either a Yewa person or a woman. A Yewa person or a woman. And anyway, you fit one of the bills, according to him. We have a last caller. So let's just take this last call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Big sir. Good morning, sir.
Yes,
sir. Good morning.
Go ahead. Morning, what's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Lodge from Wasimi. Lord J from Wasini.
Okay, Lord J from Wasimi.
Oh, what's it mean? This person is in your
Two
neighborhood.
questions for our distinguished
Yeah, so go ahead, Lord J.
Listen, I want to ask this question. Are you not afraid that Nigeria is running into one party system gradually? Are you not afraid of that? My second question goes this way. Ideologically, you know for sure that ideology in the PDP is quite different from APC. How are you trying to weigh the two ideologies together to make your
What are the ideology? You have to explain it to me. I know.
I thought you had even answered the question. You had answered the question earlier.
So yes, I know PDP, and I was not happy with what PDP was. That was why I left. Right? I did not. I could have then joined another party rather than leaving. So I don't know. My being uncomfortable with PDP, I don't know if it's ideology you will call it, but my being uncomfortable with PDP was seeing PDP from the center, right? So I was like I said, I enjoyed my being a commissioner and being part of the local politics. Then in Abuja, I just didn't feel that. I didn't feel that people were there to actually help people, the lives of the average Nigerian. We had this insular, and recently, and like I said, recently, I had the opportunity to go back for a function to Abuja, and I just saw the same old people, this not old, of course, we're all older, including me, but the same people. And for me, it was, why would I go back and join them? And the people that are trying to get me, I told them that if you want me back and it's to go back, I'm not going to do it. So maybe that's ideology, but it's this feeling that when I talk to a certain group of people, I feel more comfortable with not where the country, because I'm not even focused on the country. I'm focused on my little, that what I can do to improve lives, I can do it with this system. I've been in that system before, and I don't want to go back to PDP, and I don't want to also deal with the same people that were in PDP in ADC, and it was not a choice I would make. The one-party system on a national level, probably. In Ogun State, what I know is that we have ADC is organizing. I don't know if they will have enough time to organize enough to participate fully in the next election. PDP is on the ground and is still quite strong on the ground, and then we have APC. On a national level, there might be an issue. I don't really have this. I face anything I'm doing, I face it squarely. I am not on the national level. I am not involved in and other attempts in Nigeria to create one-party states have not worked. I'm not sure that a long-term one-party state will occur, just because of our history of being everybody, every Nigerian is a lord unto himself, every Nigerian politician. So I don't see it, but it's possible. Anything is possible, because things happen for the first time all the time also. But for me, again, I'm focused on Ogun State, and in Ogun State, and in terms of what I think I want to the people I want to work with and be part of is APC. And of course, that would mean dealing with the national level of APC too, which I'm more comfortable with.
On behalf of all the people of Ogun State, this is outside of politics completely. I want to use this opportunity to welcome you back home, back into the fold, and back into your dreams to help us transform Ogun State in your own way.
Thank you.
People will kill me if I don't ask this small last question. They will kill me. Pata pata. How is Baba?
Okay.
How is
Baba is fine. The last time I saw him, he was fine. And I think the last time I spoke to him, he was traveling across the world again. I don't know where he is. We should do a show. I'm saying, where in the world is Obasanjo? It could be anywhere at any given time.
Fantastic. Well, That's all we have time for this morning. We cannot take any more calls. If you want to just pass on a last message to the people of Ogun State, you have the floor. This is not a political campaign, no, but you have the floor. Please just address your people in Ogun State.
My address is to, I think we need to look at our future with a critical understanding. I trust that people are going to look out for people that really have their hearts and want to do right by them. I'm not going to have as much money as the other candidates, but I will work twice as hard as I've done before, and my roots are, like I said, in this, my mother is Bagura, my father is Owu, my grandmother on my mother's side was from Oderemo. I have roots going back generations in all parts of the states. I'm even kind of on my mother's side. Some of their ancestral land turns out to be in Yewa. So I'm comfortable in that state. I'm comfortable I understand the state enough, and I know all the players that I can, and I know the players, not just the players today, but the players going back. So I think that I can create a society that will work for your children and my children. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity to lead the state into a future that will be so glorious and so important that that is my goal, and I'm sure I will do it. I'm very positive that having me as a leader will lead to great things for the state.
We wish you the very best of luck. Well, on that note, I want to, on behalf of all of us in Ogun State, as we celebrate 50 years of this state, welcome you back home. Wish you well in your endeavors, and we look forward to the next couple of months when this beautiful game of politics will be played, and we're all going to be witnesses to how you are going to play it. The best of luck.
Thank you very, very much. And thank you for having me, Egbon. I'm still going to come and visit you in Wasimio. I'll come to the studio. I'll come to the studio.
We will welcome you wholeheartedly in Wasimi. Well, that's all from us here at Eagle 7 Sports Radio. I hope you've had a terrific time. Join us again next week, Saturday, when we bring you another show. And until then, it's bye from me here. Bye-bye.